Good evening and welcome to the November 24th Grafton School Committee meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law GLC 30A 18 and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Grafton School Committee is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. And a reminder that people who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by visiting the Zoom link located on the town website. We will need to take attendance and announce all the committee members and guests and school officials on the call, and we will take a roll call vote for all votes. I'll start with the roll call. Jennifer Conley. Jennifer Conley is here. Let the record show. Amy Marr.
Work.
Oh, now you're working. Amy Marr.
Here.
Elizabeth Spinney.
Here.
Rahul Rati.
Here.
Laura Often is here. We have James Dewar, our student rep.
Here.
And Annabelle Weber, our junior student rep.
Here.
We have Jay Cummings, our superintendent.
Here.
And we have Heather Nato and, are you here, Heather?
Oh, here.
Sorry, I know.
Yes,
and Gloria Bram.
Leora Bram. Yeah.
Leora, I'm sorry, Leora Bram. And they are our CPAC representatives. They're new co-presidents. So welcome, and we have Jack Kelly from Grafton Cable Recording. Public comment is currently suspended. Our Q&A is open for questions only. So we ask our viewers at home to continue the same decorum they would use during an in-person meeting. And to make sure we can get to as many questions as possible, we'll have our clerk, Amy Marr, monitor questions. And we retain the right to ask anyone to leave who is unable to act appropriately. As always, we invite you to reach out to us via our school email accounts and on our GPA Ask Budget Coronavirus Facebook page. I do have a quick chairpersons update just because it is the week of Thanksgiving. I wanted to take this opportunity to wish everyone in our Grafton Public School community a happy Thanksgiving. And just to say that we are extremely thankful for all of our teachers, our paraprofessionals, custodians, nurses, lunch staff, secretaries, administration, our students and their families for all that everyone has done so far this challenging year. And while this year has certainly been like no other, there is still much for us to be thankful for, even especially in our schools. And I just wanted to also get this opportunity to say how thankful I am to all of my fellow school committee members for all of your hard work. It hasn't been an easy year. So I hope that everyone will take time to celebrate over the next few days in a safe way. And I just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. So with that, I'm going to introduce Heather and Gloria. Welcome and thank you for coming. And if you want to give an overview about what you're doing with CPAC this year and maybe what you're looking for from us or the community and how we can help, we'd love to hear from you.
Great. I'll start. Leora and I are excited about co-chairing CPAC. We've kind of hit the ground running, hopefully. We have set a meeting schedule already, and that's posted on the town CPAC website. It's going to be the second Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock, and we have those dates set through June, virtually through Zoom for the very near and probably distant future, with no plan to change that to in-person at any time. We're currently working pretty closely with Bob Wall to work on ideas for presentations. We're getting ideas from the community as well. We're also creating a shared Google read-only drive that we hope to share very soon on the CPAC town page. And in that folder will be all the past minutes of the meetings since we've taken over, the draft of the minutes from the last meeting, so everyone can review those before our next meeting. And then also we're hoping in there any sort of resources that the town or the families may need in order to learn a little bit more about what's available to them. And we're really hoping to allow this to be a resource that families can share as well. If they found an amazing speech therapist that works really great with children, put that information in there or share that resource. So we're really hoping to make this more of a collaborative effort, both with the school committee and the other families in town, so we can really know what our families need from us and from the schools, and really hope to get them there.
So to build a little bit off of the idea of the Google Drive. Hi, I'm Leora. Nice to see you all, and thanks for having us. We've definitely found a spirit of collaboration with the other parents almost immediately. So the first meeting that we chaired had a really productive open forum with parents contributing. And as a result, we've started scheduling some speakers, some within and some outside of our CPAC meeting schedule. So we've got an event on COVID compensatory services coming up on December 2nd, because there's a December 15th deadline for determining students' eligibility for those services. Working with Bob to have someone come in and talk about mediation and facilitated IEP meetings. We've heard that transition is a topic that hasn't been covered or dealt with much by the CPAC in the past. So we're working to get a speaker to come talk about some of the issues that parents are going to face and will face during transition period as our kids get older. And really, we also have an emotional CPR course coming up that we're helping to facilitate with Oryx Cohen, a parent in town. So really a lot happening and a lot on the schedule already, just from feedback we've gotten from parents in the short time we've been working with folks. And one of the other things we really wanted to share with you all today is some of that feedback from those sessions. We've added a Facebook group to the page, to the CPAC page within Facebook, because the way Facebook works, a business or organization page doesn't really allow for discussion. So there's we've added an adjunct group page for parents to share information. And so between our meetings and the discussion there in that Facebook group, just wanted this group to know some of the things that are bubbling up as issues for parents, good and bad. Things we're hearing from folks, so you know what we're hearing from folks, and most of it's great. One of the things that we've heard that's probably not unique to our community is the need for support for parents as well as the teachers during this time, particularly with kids who might get services. We are, as parents, often overwhelmed with emails and communication, not just with our kids' teachers, but with service providers as well, their team, et cetera. And so just an awareness and understanding and flexibility on the district's part for parents who might be overwhelmed, as well as the teachers are, by the communication challenges of the weird way we're all working right now. So that's something that we've talked about in our groups, and we're really happy to see that a lot of the parents are kind of supporting each other and helping each other with ideas and solutions there, but wanted this group to also know that it's kind of out there. We also heard that some of the issues around kids who might not have a specific diagnosis, but might have more reading challenges, continues to be a little harder to navigate sometimes with teams. You know, a kid with a specific diagnosis that gets very specific services is very different from a kid that's struggling. And there might, some parents continue to struggle with finding the right balance there. And that's something that probably is not unique to our district at all. But again, wanted to, on behalf of the parents in our group, share that with you all. We have heard that for elementary school kids, Grafton almost cannot be beat in terms of services. I know in the Down syndrome community that I'm a part of, like, people want to move to Grafton. They always tell me, like, please tell me if you know of a house, because Grafton's just known for being great.
I'm going to say that the same for I don't speak for the entire autism community, but from the feedback that I've heard from the service provider that we've received from Johnny, that Grafton is one of the best districts they've ever worked with when it comes to helping students with autism.
So elementary school, the teams are great. the team chair approach really works well in terms of getting things done. That is a little more challenging as kids get older within the school district, just because in middle school, there isn't a teacher that's responsible for your kid. The team chair probably isn't as involved in what's happening with them day to day. Again, I don't think unique at all to our district, but something, again, that I think this group, you know, if you don't work within the special education system, it's something to keep in mind and understand, that parents are kind of finding that more challenging as their kids get older. And other than that, I mean, really generally people feel like there's a collaborative approach between the schools and the families. Grafton does quite well. There are challenges like there would be anywhere else, and those are of course magnified by the current times. But overall, you know, we're getting great feedback, and we're getting, you know, we're seeing a lot of families supporting families and the school supporting families, and that's been great. So that's it. Heather, did I miss anything?
No, I think that's pretty good. Like Leora was mentioning, we were talking about some of the older grades and the transitions in the older grades. You know, Leora and I both have young children at the very beginning of our journey. So it was interesting to speak to some parents who have been through, and you know, it's something that's never sort of dawned on us. You know, it's like, what happens when our sons have 7 different teachers, you know, who may not be or it doesn't have that one-on-one or, you know, 1 to 2 aid that sort of helps them and say, no, this is what works for them. So it is an interesting mindset for us to sort of take in, and again, wanting to see all of our families succeed and want to see all of our children succeed. You know, we have sort of like came in and was like, okay, there's a really lot that we want to cover, you know, but we really want to, you know, now, you know, we've COVID and everything going down. So we want to make sure we get the families the support they need at that point too. The only thing, you know, I think you may have touched on a little bit, Leora, but we are going to possibly reach out to the Disability Commission to talk a little bit about parental support. One of the things that came up in our last CPAC meeting was that there is a need to support parents. Our focus has just been so much on the children, and as a school committee and as the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, our focus is on children. But parents are overwhelmed too, and especially parents of children with special needs who may be having their own issues in dealing with everything. So we hope to reach out to the Disability Commission and work a little bit with them, even though with this emotional CPR program. So that is our sort of hope and our plan as we're all getting everything in a line. That's one of the things that we're thinking about as well. So, but if you have that on your mindset, I mean, I know you guys we all deal with the children, but parents are also dealing with a very specific set of needs as well.
Yeah, I had a parent from the group. She reached out to me and we had a lengthy discussion about that and thinking about different ways to communicate. And Jay and I met with that and kind of came up with an individual plan for her, but started thinking about it just in general, and trying to reach everybody with all needs and how we can best work with them. Any questions from the committee for Heather and Leora? Thank you both so much.
Thank you for having us. It's really nice to be part of the discussion. So thank you.
Absolutely. And anytime. Amy had her hand up.
I just wanted to say congratulations, welcome. And I'm so impressed. I'm sad that I missed the meeting, but I'm so impressed with what I've seen already. And I've already gotten feedback from parents, just how accepting and helpful and supportive, just having the group to turn to. So when you talk about supporting parents, I think you guys are an important part of that model, and we need you. And so we appreciate your time and your energy, because we are all in this together. I know it's kind of trite. We've heard that since March, but it's true. We need everybody. It's all hands on deck right now. So thank you very much for all your work.
Thanks.
Any other questions? I think you guys had the lucky day right before a holiday come for our meeting, but I do, and the door is always open to any of us to share. I think we try to go to the meetings when we can, but anything you want to share, or things that you see, themes that rise up, they might not always be in our direct wheelhouse, but I think more heads are better to try to just tackle problems and think how we can best serve the community. So I'm so delighted to have both of you here and to work with you, and thank you for what you're doing for our students and our parents. So it's great to have you as part of the team.
Thank you.
So much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, to everyone too.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. And you are welcome to call it a night with us. So I'm going to turn it over to Jay, and he's going to give his district update.
All right. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. So I just have a few slides, a few things I wanted to update you on. Originally, I had the Binax Now testing program on here. I talked about it initially at the last meeting. We were hoping to receive from the state phase 2 information. It was supposed, I think it was tentatively set to be out this week. It hasn't come out yet. So probably next week, and I'll update you at the next meeting. I wanted to talk about the GPS dashboard that's new since we last met. Guidance on winter athletics came out. And then we were pleasantly surprised with the provision of some air purifier units that I'll speak to. So with the GPS dashboard, we put this up on the website. We've got 3 cases that I was just informed of this evening, about half an hour before the meeting. So I will update the dashboard tonight. So we'll be up to 22 cumulative positive cases, but you can see we break it down by week and each individual school, and this will just, until COVID is no more, we will continually update the dashboard. The feedback on this has been, I think, very positive with all the different letters. People kind of understandably just kind of lose track of how many cases we're actually talking about. I had people emailing me saying, it seems like we've had 50 letters. Well, you haven't had 50 letters. It's still more than we'd like to see, but 22 cases in total. In terms of athletics, MIAA came out with guidance. I guess it was yesterday, or maybe it was last Friday. Anyhow, our league met, I think it was this afternoon. They were going to meet this week and work out a league specific plan, but in a general sense, statewide, indoor track is moved to that fall 2 season in February with football, and wrestling and cheerleading. We don't have wrestling. They're going to be moved to the spring season and scheduled to start on December 14th. That date is not set in stone. We'd have basketball, swimming, and ice hockey start up. And again, we'll fine tune that with the league, and that will be released as soon as a definitive plan is set in terms of our league. And then I may have shared this with the committee, but probably a month and a half ago, I attended a statewide webinar on air purification, airflow, et cetera, with a professor from Harvard, who I believe is the kind of the worldwide expert on air quality. It was really interesting. Part of that webinar included an application process. So if you liked everything you heard, the idea in the webinar was we would sign on as either superintendents, buildings and ground directors, whoever was there. And at the time, they were trying to get a high quality air purifier that could be used in a classroom onto the state bid list, so that we could at least across the state get the best price for it. Our thinking was that if more monies are released for COVID in the coming months, that we could use some of those monies for the air purifiers. We put in that I guess that we need about 200 units. We have roughly 170 standard classrooms, and then easily 30 additional spaces. So just as a kind of a rough estimate. I put down 200, and to my great surprise, yesterday I was contacted, and they're going to, the state is going to use some monies that they have, and they are going to fully fund all 200 units, and they're going to be delivered to us in early December. So as those come in, we will obviously put them out, and we may have to purchase, let's say, 30 other units, additional units, so that we make sure even our smaller spaces are covered. Again, this is just one piece of the airflow puzzle. Will still be, to the greatest degree possible, opening windows, looking to get airflow, we're cleaning filters, doing all of those things still. But this air purification system was a one piece that we didn't have that was recommended. So this was fantastic and very unexpected news for us. And then lastly, I get asked maybe 24 times a day, at the very least, about I get various questions related to the potential need to shift to all remote. There were a lot of questions about the holidays, be it Thanksgiving or, the Christmas break. Following, that break, are we going to need to shift to remote? At the same time that we've had these questions and an uptick across the state and certainly nationally, DESE and CDC, if anything, have basically doubled down on their guidance, and their guidance related to schools being predominantly very safe in a relative sense for students and staff. Jumping ahead, I pulled, you may have seen this, I guess I've lost all track of time. I think it was yesterday, but it could have been last week, that the CDC came out with a number of statements regarding schools. You may have seen that for a day or two, they had taken down some information related to schools and their operation in this time of COVID. And that was interpreted as CDC being against students being in K-12 schools. They responded to that with a press conference and some documents that were released. These are just some of the quotes that were in there. They're very easy to find if you want to look it up. But the indication from CDC and from the state has been that their intention is to keep students in person as much as possible as we move forward. Oh, sorry. Now, that said, certainly anything could happen. Triggers for us, for all communities, are going to be any kind of real significant increase within a community, any cases of in-school transmission, and what we talked about at the last meeting, if we have a crisis in terms of staffing. Those are the three biggest pieces that would impact our ability to provide continued in-person instruction as we move forward. I don't think it's going to shock anybody to say that December and January and the end of November are going to be critical in terms of what happens post-Thanksgiving. I think everybody's concerned rightfully about that. Are the numbers going to go through the roof? What's going to happen? And obviously, I don't know that. And it's a question that is definitely on the mind of many people and all superintendents, I can assure you of that, and school committees, I'm sure, as well. And then timing and scope, that's all going to depend on, obviously, if the state was to have another closure, that would be a one-size-fits-all timing and response. If we did have a spike or transmission within an individual school, we would most likely have to close that school for a period of time. You've seen that with the number of high schools in the area over the past few months. So that's basically where we stand right now, and I can take any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Jay. Any questions? Amy.
Jay, thanks for the update. The air purifiers that we're getting, do they have any additional costs? Are there filters that will have to be replaced that we'll have to purchase down the line, or do you not know?
Yeah. Yes, I don't know what that cost is going to be, you know, how often they have to be replaced. Again, it went from a webinar, obviously, with this prominent expert who said you can actually get a classroom-based system that's not too awfully expensive. I want to say they're $250 a unit or something. There's still more than, you know, we don't have enough money to get 200, you know, just out of the blue. So we are looking at what that cost will be, but I'm sorry, I just I'm not in a position to turn it down. We're gonna take them, even if I'm hoping it lasts, you know, 4 months. So I'll have to get back to you on that, but it was completely out of the blue, shy of attending that webinar.
Yeah, no, that's great. I was just thinking ahead to the budget, you know. If
Yeah,
we need
I mean, it certainly could be. I mean, anything could happen this year. But as we've talked about when we talked about general budget, if there aren't more monies provided to schools just to get through this year, there's going to be a uniform crisis. Certainly not. I mean, we probably have a little more to fall back on in Grafton as opposed to like the urban districts. So I'm expecting some influx of COVID-related monies to get us past December 31st. And the thinking would be we'll obviously have the information on filters if we need additional units, but that would be an area, certainly COVID-related, that we would look to invest in.
Liz?
Jay, thank you so much for everything that you and the whole staff has done to keep our kids safe in school. I completely agree when I hear all the comments about the kids' safest place being in school. I think you guys have done a fantastic job, and I completely agree that they're very safe there. And I'm gonna get up on my stool here for a second and just hope that people will play it very safe over Thanksgiving, because you know that worries me. It worries a lot of people, and I think, you know, we've heard the stories, we've heard the studies, we've seen the numbers, and we know that this is getting spread at gatherings, at parties, at places where people are relaxed and they're not wearing their masks, and they feel comfortable around their family members. They think that it's family, I'm safe. And so I hope people will take extra precaution and not bring anything back to our schools. And I did actually have a question, but the air purifiers, I'm very excited to hear that we're getting those air purifiers. Do you think that once we have those in place, that would mean we'd be able to keep some windows closed in the schools, given that that's going to be December? And I'm already hearing reports that, you know, rooms are getting very cold and kids are having to wear coats, which, you know, it's not a big deal. We want to keep them safe, but just,
yeah.
What's your thinking on that?
In that webinar with that, I don't know, it was an hour and a half with there's I'm sure a better name for it, but I'm thinking of this air expert, air quality expert. That question came up with buses and classrooms. Like, does every window have to be open all the way? Do we need fans, etc.? It was actually one of the big takeaways of mine from that webinar was that the degree to which windows and doors need to be open is very, very small, which I think is obviously a great thing for the winter. So what we will do, obviously, the air purifiers were very much on our radar, but thinking they were dependent on monies that haven't been allocated, not knowing if we could get them, etc. So we've greatly sped up the reality of them, which is fantastic. What we'll most likely do is take the materials from that that Harvard presentation and probably link to the webinar and share that with our entire staff. It's one thing for me to say it, but to actually hear, a world-renowned person talk about what needs to happen with the windows, the placement of the air purifier, all those different pieces. I think that's a way that we will move forward to build up that understanding of what actually needs to take place to maximize the quality of the air.
Okay, thank you. And do we still have enough cleaning supplies?
Oh yeah.
All so good. Okay, good.
Jen?
Okay. So I just want to say thank you for doing the dashboard. I appreciate and I think it might maybe hopefully you'll get less emails now, just having the place where you have a summary, updated totals. I think it's just, I'm a numbers person, so I think I'd like to see it. I like to see it like, in the table that it is. So thank you for doing that. And if we keep providing that, I think it'd be much appreciated. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
Rahul?
Jay, about these air purifiers, going back to them, are they big enough to cover, purify the whole classroom, or would we need 2 per?
These are the ones I was left to my own devices. I'd be worried about that. This is the one model that this expert from Harvard, in working with DESE, has recommended for schools and for classrooms. So it did not have to go through my brain at all. They picked this model statewide. It's considered fantastic. It still has to be used in conjunction with other measures. But again, according to this expert, this is the model that they are recommending.
Any other questions? I just wanted to piggyback a little bit. Oh, Liz, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering about middle school sports. Are they still off for the rest of the year?
The way they're still off, as far as I know. The way that they handled it last time is with the fall, they had the initial, advice or edict from the state. They met at the district level, figured out high school, and then they figured out what to do with middle school. So I'm guessing it probably already happened this week, Liz. I'm just not aware of it yet. I know that the district meeting, I think, was supposed to take place yesterday afternoon, but I just didn't get an update.
All right, thank you.
I had a quick question about travel. So if people do travel, or they do wind up going to a family function, and we're obviously going to encourage them to stay home if they're in cohort A the following week, or a cohort B, sorry, because I think they're in school. So we have things in place, right? If kids need to quarantine or self-quarantine, they can go visit our website through the K through 5 model.
Yep.
And then the 6 through 12, they'll be able to jump in and still receive their work, correct?
Sure. Yep.
So
Yep.
people should kind of help police, I guess, is maybe the right word.
There's information on the website. If in doubt, they can always email the building principal and or me, and we'll work with you to figure it out.
Right, to help.
Yep.
Thank you. Perfect, thanks. Any other questions? All right. Well, great job, Jay, and thanks. Thank you for jumping on those purifiers.
We do
All
have an audience question.
Okay.
Ralph Eddy asks, is there any further discussion about increasing the degree of in-person learning, given the guidance from DESE, especially for lower grade levels?
Nothing that the committee that we haven't talked about at the last meeting. We went into, I think it was the last meeting. Maybe the meeting
It was.
Until the restrictions in terms of spacing requirements are decreased at the state level. And right now with the statewide spike and the increase that we're seeing across the board, I don't foresee that happening in the near future. It's only when we're not limited to the minimum of 3 with the recommendation of 6+ that we'd be able to bring more kids into school in person. There is absolutely nothing we would want more than to do that. I can guarantee you that. If and when we're able to bring more students in, it is at the lower elementary level that we would bring students back. They would have priority, no question about it.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy. All right, future agenda schedule planning. Looks like we actually have a pretty full agenda when we get back. We'll have NGES and SGES come, Jay, correct?
Yes, they're both coming on the 8th.
Okay, excellent. Yay. Good. Anything else we want to add to that? I know we have a couple things in the queue that Jay and I are just trying to get information on that will come up in the next couple meetings, I think. And obviously we need to start talking budget. So that should be most of our December.
Yeah, and Anita and I, we're still waiting for our projected budget number for FY22.
Yeah.
We just don't have it yet. Once we do that, we'll basically back into it using last year's budget largely and illustrate, most likely where we're going to be short.
Yeah.
So our hope
So is Carter working that way, Jay? Do we need? Yeah. Okay. So he's planning to give us a number to.
Yeah, we thought we'd have it today.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't have time. We wouldn't have had time
Yeah.
in a few hours to turn it around for tonight, but that's what we were working on yesterday, waiting for that number. And I'm guessing it's gonna be close to level funded.
Yeah.
But we don't want to do all that. It's just it's a part of what we do, but it's a great deal of work. We're better off waiting a day or two and having an actual number as opposed to kind of making it.
Guessing. Yep. Okay.
Laura, what are the things that you said were in the queue that you and Jay were talking about?
Oh, well, I can't remember offhand.
Okay.
Thanks. We'll send an update.
Okay.
We need approval of minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 10th, 2020 as presented.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Jen Conley? Let the record show Jen Conley says aye. Amy Marr?
Amy Marr, aye.
Elizabeth Spinney?
Aye.
Rahul Rati?
Rati, aye.
Laura Often, aye. Motion carries 5-0. We also have a warrant.
So I had a question before I do the warrant. There are 2 warrants in the drive. One is from September and one is from November. Are we doing both?
Yes, you're being asked to do both. The September one, I don't know the details of it, but Anita simply said it was skipped over. Like the school committee simply never voted on it.
Yeah, I remember there was a meeting we didn't do it, but I just wanted to make sure. All right, so I move the committee approve warrant number 12, dated September 17th, 2020, in the amount of $365,033.60.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Jen Conley? Record show Jen Conley says aye. Amy Marr?
Amy Marr, aye.
Elizabeth Spinney?
Aye.
Rahul Rati?
Aye.
And Laura Often, aye. Motion carries. All right, the next warrant, please.
I move the committee approve warrant number 22, dated November 25th, 2020, in the amount of $728,611.76.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Jennifer Conley? Jennifer Conley says aye. Amy Mark?
Aye.
Elizabeth Spinney?
Aye.
Rahul Ritchie?
All right, aye.
Laura Often, aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right. We do not have policy member reports. I know some of you have been very busy. No?
Sure.
Liz?
The TA screening committee met recently. It was all an executive session, but we've received resumes and we reviewed them, and we will be interviewing candidates and passing that on to the select board, passing our selections onto the select board soon.
Nice. Do you have a time frame for that, Liz, yet, or is it too soon to say?
December, mid-December.
All right. That's going to be here before we know it. Thank you. I heard through the grapevine that there were some excellent candidates that we've received, so can't wait to hear more. Amy?
Capital Improvement Planning Committee has met so many times I've lost track. We are into the we held kind of sort of like public hearings, but not really, where we had department heads come in and talk about their submissions for capital items. Anita did a fantastic job last week representing the school department. She even completed some additional paperwork for us, which was fantastic. She did a great job. We're in good shape. We still don't have a final number, but we're trying not to focus too much on that. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to turn over a ranked list to Carter on or around December 1st. And he is going to use that as kind of to inform his decisions on what we're going to spend the capital funds on, whatever that amount is. So we'll make kind of recommendations, and it's going to be up to Carter to then make his recommendations to FinCom and the select board. So it's looking pretty good. There's a lot of great stuff on the list. And my sense is that the committee is trying to spread the proverbial wealth. So it's not any one department getting, too much more than the others. But we've had some really great discussions about priorities. And then once we're done and that's just the 2022 plan, we'll then move forward with the remaining 4 years, looking ahead, and what that's going to look like in terms of a capital outlay for all the departments. So we'll be calling Jay again, I'm sure.
Awesome.
Oh, that was one thing that I would be ahead if we had a train update for future agenda, Liz. That was one thing on my mind. So we don't have one yet, right, Jay?
Correct. Yeah, we don't have that number from North Street yet.
Yeah, that was something CIPC was looking for as well. It won't be part of, so to be clear, the train projects will not be part of the FY22 capital budget. It's going to be done separately somehow, if at all. But at the very least, the other stuff that's on the list, hopefully we'll be able to make a dent. We'll see.
Yep.
Great. Thanks, Amy. I know that group's been working pretty hard. Friday nights even.
Hey, they're the second best committee in Grafton.
I hope we are the first, Amy. Any other member reports? James and Annabelle, I know some exciting things going on at the high school.
Well, we just decorated for Spirit Week last week, and we'll be starting up for Cohort B next week and Cohort A the week after. So I don't know entirely how it's going to look, but I know we'll have Spirit Days as usual.
Great. Looking for a 2-year in a row win, James? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anything else you want to add? They're doing some fundraising for some causes as well.
Yeah, there's the penny war, which we usually do. There's a canned food drive, which I assume goes to the Grafton Food Bank. I don't know where the penny war money goes, but definitely to good causes.
Gotcha. Excellent. Annabelle?
Yeah, I believe there's also a few like coat drives or shoe drives. I think the athletic director is also donating like sports equipment. So
Nice. Excellent. Good. And I know I'm not alone in this, but I attended the high school production of Legend of Sleepy Hollow. They did a great job doing it via, it was like an old time radio play, and the students and faculty did a great job. So congratulations to all of them. It was a nice kind of old timey sit around the radio, listen to the scary story. Any other member reports?
We don't want to give a member report about our extracurricular activities, Laura? We have a radio play of our own coming up.
I don't know if that's school committee related.
Oh,
But
come on.
You're more than welcome to give it a plug, Amy, but I will not.
So a few of the school committee members are doing the Apple Tree Arts play, A Christmas Carol. We've been hard at work, lots of rehearsals over Zoom. We're very excited. It's going to be the second week of December, that weekend. And we've also worked it out that the 7th graders at Grafton Middle School will get to listen to it in lieu of going on a field trip to the Hanover, which they do every year to see it. They're going to do the radio play. I'm not sure if they're going to hear it in school or at home. The teachers are going to work all that out, but we were able to secure that for them. So that's pretty exciting.
I like how you just tied in and made it school committee related.
Yeah,
Well
baby.
done. Yeah. Yeah. And also, yeah, some of our children are in it as well. But it's nice that they could use that as the middle school instead of going to see the play. That'll also have an old-timey feel to it. Any correspondence? No, I would know that. We don't have any correspondence. We don't need to go to executive session. So unless anybody has anything else they'd like to add, I can take a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Take a roll call vote. Jen Conley? Jen Conley says yes. Big thumbs up. Amy Mara?
Yes.
Elizabeth Skinny?
Aye.
Rahul Raji?
Aye.
And Laura Often, aye. And happy Thanksgiving, Grafton.